Honorable Chairperson, Co-Chairperson, and honorable dignitaries on the dais, my friends and colleagues, a very good morning to all of you. I'm in the VUCA environment, no response. Can we have it louder? A good morning to all of you. Yeah, we must show some energy and enthusiasm why we are here and be focused on what we are trying to discuss and show some energy levels, okay? So once more, final time, good morning all of you. That's it. So we begin with VUCA in healthcare and we will stick to the timing. So I'll quickly go through what I want to discuss about this terminology, which is actually being used by various business operations but originated from the organization from which I come, that is the armed forces. This terminology was very, very evident in the armed forces because we always work in this environment. Everything is uncertain, everything is volatile, everything is ambiguous, and you have to have a clear vision to know what you are doing, which is very difficult to come by because things are so complex. Let's see the elements of VUCA framework. The first one is volatility. You all know chemistry defines what is a volatile substance. It defines volatile substance that can readily and rapidly evaporate and change from the liquid to the gaseous form. And alcohol, we all know, is a volatile, and that's how it mixes with the air and you start smelling after you drink alcohol. So that's the way you smell it. I'm going to use this metaphor later on in my presentation to remember this, what alcohol does to us. So rapid and frequent changes that occur over a period of time is what volatility is all about. And we know we in the healthcare work in a very, very volatile environment. Be it patient care, be it systems, or be it processes, all are volatile. Uncertainty stems from the fact there is lack of knowledge as to whether the end event will result in a significant change. So uncertainty is limitation of knowledge, both on behalf of the provider of care and the unnecessary information to which the recipient of care has got access these days. And these two types of uncertainty in the mind of the physician and the mind of the patient creates distrust between the provider and the recipients. And we all know the consequences of such distrust are assuming in very alarming proportions these days. The complexity is because of multiple decision factors that are very much evident in healthcare. Lot of interconnected neuronic networks with different synapses are there, which makes healthcare that much complex. And of course, all these three factors lead to ambiguity. You may have the knowledge, you may have the information, but you are not able to understand the cause and effect, and therefore you cannot know what is the action that is required to be taken. So having explained these terms, let us see is healthcare a VUCA environment. You see the factors which I have listed there. I'll dwell on some of them, not on all of them, but you can see the factors that are there. Can we call healthcare a VUCA environment? Obvious answer is yes. And I'm not referring to individual patient care now, I'm referring to healthcare delivery system as a whole. We have social changes, economical changes, technological changes, legal and regulatory changes. We have capping on various stents, capping on pricing, and that time may not be too far off when they may be capping on the salaries that you draw as healthcare providers. You have revised accreditation requirements from time to which you have to conform to, and looking for those requirements to be met creates uncertainty and also ambiguity in what you are doing at present and leads to complexity. These drastic regulatory changes that happen are required because healthcare industry is witnessing seismic shifts in terms of innovations. We have clinical genomics, we have digitalization, we have personalized care, we have robotic surgery, we have artificial intelligence. All these technological advancements are making you uncertain about what step you should take next to remain in sync with these technological innovations. Of course, our disease profiles are always expanding. We are having changing evidences. You know, what we did yesterday may not be true today and may become irrelevant in the future. And you have seen in this pandemic, we started with hydroxychloroquine as the drug for prevention of COVID. And then there have been a plethora of changes, plasma therapy, remdesivir, monoclonal antibodies, name it. Rapid changes, so the volatility comes in from there. We know information explosion is there. Everybody can access Dr. Google and get diagnosis in an instant and get all the treatment modalities for that. That is increasing the clientele expectations, making him more uncertain about the type of care being provided by the providers. And therefore, the distrust is coming in. The classical example of VUCA in healthcare is COVID-19. I need not elaborate, otherwise it will take me 1 hour to only elaborate how COVID-19 is a VUCA environment. We are still uncertain when the next strain is going to come and whether all of us sitting here without masks will need to put on their masks all over again and double masks. So what are the effects of VUCA environment? It makes everybody turbulent. How turbulent? We used to say earlier on that a good physician is recognized by 3 factors. One is he should be bald to have an aura of wisdom around him. He should have a pot belly to have an aura of prosperity around him. And more importantly, he should have fissures and piles to have an aura of turbulence around him. So he cannot be seated in one place at one point of time. This is what VUCA environment creates, a turbulence in the healthcare delivery system. Everything becomes challenging. There are risks involved. Risks involved are strategic risks, operational risks, clinical risks, certain non-clinical risks, financial risks. And you feel you're out of control, you cannot control this environment, which results in delayed decision makings and consequently delayed actions, resulting in distrust and misperceived conceptions and perceptions in your providers and recipients as well. Finally, it results in inaction due to paralysis. And it overwhelms the leaders and the organization, the leaders who need to see around the corners to see something different and significant about the future that others do not see. That is why VUCA environment responsibility to manage rests on leadership. And what should be a leader like? The leader should know what are the things that matter, that are important, and what are the things that they can control. So those things that matter and those things which can be controllable, the leader has to focus his attention on those events to make something out of this VUCA environment. So how should a leader be like? Leader should always be like Lord Ganesha. Small mouth for talking less. Of course, I have to talk a bit more. Big ears for listening. Very small eyes for focus. Long nose for poking around and smelling danger from far. Big head for storing good ideas. Big tummy for digesting all criticism and all nonsense that comes in the way. And small vehicle, that is the mouse, to smell risk in every nook and corner of the facility. A blessing hand to give support to all the performing employees, give laddus or the sweets in hand that signifies reward and motivation. A perfume sprinkler in one hand, which reminds you that you must sincerely compliment all your colleagues and all the staff. An axe in hand to admonish irresponsible behaviors and actions, and crown on the head that symbolizes self-respect. So, the leaders have to be goal-oriented. They have to recognize the obstacles and be able to remove them, solve the problems, and be quick thinkers, because in these changing times, these volatile times, these uncertain times and complex times, you have to take actions quickly. So what are the critical factors for successful management of a VUCA environment? Organization culture, something which is very difficult to define and notoriously difficult to understand and improve, because the clouds are always changing over a period of time. Which are rain bearing and which are not rain bearing is very difficult to ascertain. Therefore, this can only be done by good leaderships, by having communication and relationship with partner organizations. No longer healthcare delivery can be done in silos. It has to be built around a culture of partnerships. You have to focus on patient, staff health, safety, clinical outcomes, and quality improvement at all times. And that is why building a safety culture is the theme for this conference. For this, you require patient safety response teams which can identify, which are aware of the incidents, which can monitor the incidents, and take immediate action, corrective action, if the root cause analysis reveals something which is evident. You must have safety and quality improvement huddles. At the end of the day, these safety and quality team huddles should tell what went well. This will confer positivity, remove anxiety, reduce anxiety, and make you empowered as a team to take action. So this will give you teamwork and empowerment. Obviously, nothing is clear without having a clear communication. Everything goes away if you are able to if you are able to lucidly spell out what is required. You need to have a mind to think, but a heart to feel. And therefore, do not elbow through every situation. Think with your heart, build partnerships, have a very clear strategic intent on what you want to achieve by having what I call all the partnership of all the P's. That is the patients, the population in terms of community, the people that are the staff and the physicians. And of course, a lot of flexibility to be able to review and change your plans. So what is the way forward? First, understand that VUCA is there to stay. It is inevitable. Therefore, you have to embrace it. There will be new challenges which will need new solutions and new innovations. You have to convert the VUCA challenges into an opportunity which can only be done not by transactional leadership, but by transformative form of leadership. So we know healthcare expenditure in this country is woefully short. This has to be increased. We have to develop new strategies, and as there is expansion of technology in healthcare settings, every country needs regulations, but needs smart regulations and an implemented policy for patient safety, quality improvement, data security, and data protection. So we have to shift gears. We can overcome volatility by having vision to see what is going to happen next. Is this patient going to evaporate, and then will my organization evaporate as well? So you have to have that vision to see the future. You have to increase your information inputs and organize them so that the lack of knowledge, the limitation of knowledge is minimized, and therefore focus on more evidence-based care. All the complexity can be removed if you are able to have a vision and understanding, and ambiguity can be taken care of only by agility in action, by clarifying issues. So the take-home message from this small short presentation of mine is, the driver of volatility is change, the rate and speed of change. The impact of volatility is instability, lack of control, and increased risk, and you can overcome by having a vision for the future. The drivers of uncertainty are unpredictability, potential surprises, unknown impacts, and unknown outcomes. It brings in indecisiveness, increased analysis, and therefore delayed action. It requires some understanding of the environment by increasing your knowledge. The complexity is because of task interdependencies and correlations. The impact is because of data overload, and this can be minimized by putting in some clarity in the complex situation. And ambiguity is unclear cause, unclear aims, unclear action and effects, which results in doubts, distrust, delays, and lack of trust. And of course, it can be overcome by quick actions and agility, seeming to take action on ambiguous situations. So, from the fragile VUCA 1.0, we should go to an agile VUCA 2.0, because change is the way forward. All change may not be progress, but all progress is change. And therefore, we learn, we have to unlearn, and then relearn ourselves based upon the changing dynamics of this VUCA environment. We welcome you to this VUCA ecosystem. You can see the complexity, and therefore, the only thing that can take us forward is empowerment. Change is scary, but change is the way forward, because change also implies progress. I wish you a very happy VUCA landing in Air Force terminologies. God bless. Let us enter into this environment with a smile on our face. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.